Hello and welcome to Buddha's Zen Wisdom, where we accompany you every day. Today, I want to share a powerful lesson with you, a lesson about how to stop being mistreated and gain respect from others, simply by remembering 4 crucial phrases. Have you ever found yourself in situations where, despite being a kind and good-hearted person, you were taken advantage of or disrespected? You might feel like you're just not strong enough or brave enough to stand up for yourself. But the truth is, true strength comes from within, from a firm resolve in your own heart. If you keep these 4 life-changing phrases in mind, they will not only help you navigate through difficult situations, but they will empower you to stop being mistreated by others. These phrases will help you gain the respect you deserve. Let me tell you a story that illustrates these 4 phrases. It takes place in a tranquil, picturesque monastery, nestled in the mountains. In this monastery lived 2 monks, one a young novice, full of potential and sharp intelligence, and the other, an older, seasoned monk with decades of wisdom. Despite his youth, the young monk was known for his exceptional talent. He worked diligently, quietly contributing to the monastery without seeking recognition. However, he often felt disrespected by the senior monks. They seemed to overlook him, treating him as though he was insignificant, even though he was always willing to help and contribute. The older monk, in contrast, was calm, composed, and almost unshakable, like still waters that never rippled no matter what happened around him. One day, while wandering the bamboo forest behind the monastery, the young monk came across the older monk. Feeling restless and burdened by his emotions, he sat on a rock and couldn't contain his frustration any longer. He opened up to the older monk, expressing his inner turmoil and disappointment. "Master," the young monk sighed, "I've had enough. All these years, I've quietly practiced here, done my best to help with the tasks, but I never received the respect I deserve. My fellow monks constantly ignore me. They treat me as if I were their servant. When I ask for help, they brush me off, saying that I, as a younger monk, don't understand. Why do I always feel so powerless?" The older monk listened patiently, his expression kind yet knowing. He gave a slight smile before slowly walking over to the young monk, sitting down beside him. After a brief pause, he looked up at the sky and then, in a calm voice, began to speak. "You know, young one, the problem you're facing is like a heavy stone in your heart. It is heavy and difficult to let go of. But before you can release it, you must first understand a fundamental truth. If a person does not know how to protect themselves, they will always be looked down upon and mistreated. Let me share with you 4 phrases I've learned in my life. These 4 phrases can help you navigate your path and stop being taken advantage of. They will give you the strength to demand the respect you deserve." The young monk's eyes sparkled with curiosity. He leaned in, eager to hear more. The older monk, seeing the eagerness in his eyes, continued speaking slowly and deliberately. The first phrase, "Kindness is not weakness, it is wisdom." The young monk frowned slightly, his confusion evident. The older monk saw this and continued, "You see, many people think that kind individuals are easy to push around. They believe that kindness and tolerance are signs of weakness. But in truth, genuine kindness often holds great power. A person who is kind knows how to respect others and balance their own needs with those of others. They know how to stand firm on their principles without causing harm. The people who bully kind individuals are often lost in their own false sense of superiority. They fail to see the true strength in kindness." "But why do I always feel like I'm the one being taken advantage of?" the young monk asked, clearly troubled by the thought. The older monk smiled gently and said, "It is because you depend too much on your own goodness and tolerance, forgetting that you need to establish boundaries for yourself. Kindness does not mean yielding to others' demands without limits. Kindness means knowing when to say no." The young monk paused, contemplating the older monk's words. There seemed to be a shift in his understanding. The second phrase, "Respect yourself, and others will respect you." The young monk, still reflecting on the first phrase, asked, "Master, what does this second phrase mean?" The older monk replied, "Ask yourself, have you ever wondered why you feel ignored or disrespected? Often, the problem isn't with others, it's with how you treat yourself. If you don't set boundaries for yourself, if you constantly give in to others' requests and overlook your own feelings, it becomes difficult for others to respect you. Respecting yourself is not selfishness, it's an affirmation of your value and worth. If you cannot respect yourself, others will not be able to respect you either." The young monk sat quietly, reflecting deeply. He realized that, in the past, he had often put others' needs above his own, neglecting his own feelings in the process. The third phrase, "Silence is not weakness, it is a choice of wisdom." The young monk looked at the older monk, still uncertain. "Master, I don't quite understand. If we remain silent all the time, how will others know how we feel or what we need?" The older monk's expression remained calm, his eyes thoughtful. "Silence is not about giving up or retreating. It is about choosing the right moment to respond. When others provoke or pressure you, remaining silent is not a sign of weakness but of wisdom. Through silence, you gain the time and space to observe the situation, to think carefully, and to avoid making rash decisions based on emotion. By staying silent, you allow yourself to gather the strength to respond in a way that is most effective and beneficial for you." The young monk, sensing a deeper truth, asked, "But how can I communicate my limits without speaking?" The older monk nodded sagely. "This brings us to the final phrase. The fourth phrase, learn to say no, and you will live freely." The young monk's eyes brightened and his understanding began to dawn on him. "So, saying no isn't a bad thing?" The older monk smiled and gently patted the young monk's shoulder. "No, saying no is essential for your freedom. Saying no doesn't make you cold or unkind. It simply means that you know your boundaries. In life, we often face unreasonable demands, requests that go against our values or take up too much of our time. Learning to say no is not a sign of weakness. It is a form of self-protection and a way to preserve your dignity. By learning to say no, you can allocate your time and energy to the things that truly matter, and you can protect your self-respect." The young monk now felt a sense of clarity. He had long believed that being tolerant and accommodating was virtuous, but he now realized that he had been neglecting his own needs in the process. After that conversation, the young monk began to change. He no longer passively accepted mistreatment. He learned to assert himself in a way that was respectful but firm. He set boundaries and communicated his needs. He learned to say no when necessary, without feeling guilty. Over time, the other monks began to see him in a new light. They respected him more, sought his advice, and even asked him for guidance on spiritual matters. He was no longer the meek, overlooked novice. He had learned the delicate balance between kindness and strength, between being compassionate and standing firm. The older monk, ever the quiet observer, smiled to himself. He knew that the young monk had learned one of life's most important lessons. True strength comes not from submitting to the whims of others, but from having the courage to protect yourself, respect yourself, and assert your boundaries. These four phrases had helped the young monk transform into someone who could live with dignity and self-respect, while still being compassionate and kind. Kindness is not weakness. Respect yourself, and others will respect you. Silence is a wise choice. And learn to say no, and you will live freely. These four phrases became the foundation of the young monk's life, and they will forever remain in the hearts of those who learn them. As we reflect on these powerful lessons, let us remember that true respect comes from within. It is not something we can demand from others. It is something we earn by respecting ourselves and setting healthy boundaries. When we practice kindness, maintain our dignity, and stand firm in our beliefs, we create the space for others to treat us with the same respect we offer to ourselves. So, let us all take these four phrases to heart. They are not just words, they are keys to unlocking a life of strength, respect, and inner peace. Let us live by them every day, and in doing so, we will no longer be vulnerable to mistreatment. Instead, we will attract the respect and admiration we truly deserve.